Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Carolyn. I'm going to be off camera today. This is our year to shine, and I just wanted to share a quick little tip from my garden. And sometimes when you go on YouTube you can find dollar store hacks, and this is my own making of a dollar store hack from start to finish in the garden. So right here is the first picture. You can see I had this sort of messed up area with some old grass and not some wonderful looking HVAC units there. And so first thing I did obviously was I moved the grass. I got rid of it all and flattened it out. I wanted to do something with like a graded look to the garden, and I kept looking online, and I could only find, when I looked up things that said, I wanted to find how to make levels in the garden, and all the things that I found were about how to level the garden, and I thought, well, I already have it flat. I want to add levels. So I got this idea and I went to the dollar store and just looked to see what I could find. So you can see these are overturned trash, like little trash cans, and then probably from the office area, like a little inbox for an office. So I started playing around with how high I wanted things to be. My goal was not necessarily to have really, really high plants to cover the HVAC units entirely, but I did want to at least have something a little more interesting with varying heights. So this was the first level, and obviously I used tape and actually it's not even like outdoor tape, but you'll see what I did in the next step, which didn't really matter. So I did tape them together just so that they were at least secure. You probably would want to use Gorilla Tape. And I'm just showing here again the view of the overturned wastebaskets. I didn't put anything in there to keep them sturdy or anything. I suppose you could put rocks or something like that, but I haven't had any issues with stability through this whole thing. So then I decided I was going to do a little bit of a shape, so this is how it started to come together. Next thing I did was I covered everything in black trash bags. I suppose I could have used garden fabric. Again, I was just trying to see how little I could spend and use things that I already had around. So I didn't really get a great shot of it, but with each one I did really make it pretty secure, and like this looks very loose, but I did secure it around all of them. And then I poked holes, drainage holes in all of them too, which was easy because when you saw the plastic trays you saw how there were holes in the sides, just because that's the way they're designed. So it was very easy to poke holes in the trash bags to just go right out of those holes. And I mean, they weren't huge. I just used a pair of scissors basically. So then again, these are still from the dollar store. These are different sort of little storage bins. And I did take the price tags off of the, or at least the scan codes off of things too. In the pictures here, it still shows them. But at the end you'll see that you can't see them anyway. One thing that I would do looking back is potentially I would have painted these black, just because in some cases, like it's good that the trays up top had the black trash bags around them, because if it ever was a really heavy rain and maybe the mulch got moved, then you could see the black but it matched the mulch. But if the soil ever got low on the blue, then I haven't really had an issue. But I think that if I were going to do this again, I probably would spray paint or just paint the blue black, because I couldn't find any black ones that were like that. So I was just laying out a design of how I wanted to do it. I was playing around. I even actually had thought about doing a top level like you're seeing here, but I also did look online and found that you're really not supposed to put things really that close to HVAC units. So I ended up scrapping that at the end, but I did use those things that are on top of the blue overturned baskets in the back. Those are also from the dollar store. They are just like a mat that you can wipe your feet on. And I have used those so much in the garden this year. Just for $1, it is basically like a fabric for the garden. So it works to stop weeds and things like that. And you can cut them really easily. I actually even use them, I cut them very thin and use them as an edging and sort of pin them together in another flower bed. But anyway, I did use those black things at the end. I attached them and they kind of acted like a flap, but I didn't end up leaving that top level there, so those overturned plastic bins in the back, I ended up foregoing all that. But that was, this was a work in progress. My neighbor came by and said, "Did you see this on Pinterest?" And I said, "No, I'm just coming up with it." And I changed my mind a few times, but I thought I would document it as I was doing it. So this is the next step. I was mainly using just regular soil from the ground to cover up the smaller overturned bins, and then I was putting really good garden soil into the actual bins. And I should have taken a picture of what I bought, but I did buy one that was something that had a feature where it was like it couldn't get waterlogged, basically, because I was kind of worried about that, because I've never planted in a container with a plastic bag like that, so I didn't want to get bugs and things like that in it. So I chose a special one that was like meant for being able to tolerate extra water. So then I bought the plants and I sort of laid out my plan for how I was going to do it. And so that's normally what I do, but you can see here, right here, like some of the blue was sort of sticking through. So that's again why I would probably have planted, or I would have painted it black. This is how it was coming along even further, and I had put some mulch on it too. So my goal was really just cover up so that you couldn't see what anything was under there. And you can see I grabbed a rock because I planned to make a rock border around it. And so I was just sort of seeing how that was going to work. So that was my initial, like right after I had just planted everything. This is after I put the rocks around it, and then I added more mulch. And this is another shot of it. And this is what it looks like now. I did lose a plant from back here, so I did replace it with that white impatiens. But I'm really happy with how the later summer, everything's filled in. Like if you look back at this, see how much thicker it got? And these pink flowers really filled out. So I'm really happy with how it came out. You can see here that it's just more interesting than that would have been just like a very flat garden there. And again, my goal was not to just totally cover the HVACs, although I could maybe put like a trellis or something behind it. But it's just very interesting, and I think I should have taken a picture from the other view, and actually since I did this, I've also landscaped here on the left. You can see some rocks, and I did some bark mulch around the bushes that are in the front too. So I've done more and more around it, but it's just really nice to walk by every day, and I'm glad I did it. It was a lot of work, but I couldn't find anything about how to do this online, so maybe this will give somebody inspiration on how to make a raised sort of bed. And it's hard to tell in this picture, but there is more of a grade to it than it looks like in this picture, because you can see how I had the ones in the back were much higher, and then I suppose as the flowers filled out, it's a little harder to see that, but it just makes it a little bit more interesting. And I've spent very little money. The rocks I already had, I just relocated them. So I only really bought the soil and the mulch, and then maybe $20 at the dollar store with some of those overturned things. I already had the tape. And of course the flowers were the most expensive thing. But I like the way it showcases it. So I hope you like this video, and if you do, give it a thumbs up. And stay tuned for more from our year to shine. I will see you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.